Hello, welcome to HITC Sport, and simply put, I'm going to look at every Premier League club and offer you my controversial, unpopular opinion about your club legend. This is usually the sort of path most YouTubers don't take for fear of retribution. What you must never do is slag off the club legend, but let's just go. Arsenal, Thierry Henry was not a gentleman. Thierry Henry was a great player. The man is a Premier League legend. Some of the things he could do on a football pitch, the defences he could single-handedly rip to shreds, but lads, there exists the myth that Thierry Henry is some sort of respectable gentleman. Is he? Do gentlemen single-handedly destroy the hopes of an entire nation with a World Cup playoff handball? I know I'm beginning to sound like a bitter ex-wife, but still, I spent the night choking on my own tears. Ever tasted the tears of a malnourished Irishman? The moment that went in, watching him wheel off in celebration, as if he'd done absolutely nothing wrong. To add insult to injury, he then sits down beside Richard Dunn and wishes him hard luck. I'm not sure how Dunn didn't punch him into next week. ASTON Villa Gabriel Agbonlahor is not a club legend. Just because a player lasts 17 years at your club, sponging wages every bastard week, that should not automatically qualify him as legend status. This is a guy whose decline at the age of 24 coincided with the demise of your club. How was this man ever allowed to wear the captain's armband? He was out partying the night of relegation, and some people are talking about building statues. Ridiculous. Bournemouth Eddie Howe is not an elite manager. Yeah, this is almost sacrilege to say, isn't it? How dare I, how very well dare I, intimate that Eddie Howe is not the second coming of Christ incarnate. That man has done so much for Bournemouth. Never mind 3 points for life. He could probably run for mayor of the town. But lads, I'm gonna say it. He's been overhyped. Yes, the job he's done to take Bournemouth into the Premier League, it's great. But Christ, he's been tipped for Manchester United. A trophyless British manager with a history of mid-table finishes. Do they never learn? He's been tipped for Everton, hiring relegation-threatened managers with a ball-playing philosophy and no plan B. Yeah, they've done that before too. He's also been tipped for Chelsea. Christ, I can almost smell the sacking after 6 weeks. This headline shows him turning down the England job. It reminds me of when Alan Pardew did the exact same thing. Now he'd probably take a job cleaning Gareth Southgate's toothbrush. Howe has shown naivety in the transfer market. A combined £40 million tossed at Jordan Ibe and Dominic Solanke. It's like me spending half my wage on a mail-order bride from Peru. It wouldn't make sense. I don't even speak Spanish. He's a good manager, but I've been around long enough to spot a mid-table gaffer who'd be desperately out of his depth in a top job. Brighton, Glenn Murray was not good enough for England. No, Glenn Murray should never have been called up for England. Can we please stop this narrative? We've already been through this with Ricky Lambert. England can do better than aging beer-bellied journeyman centre forwards. Burnley, this is Sean Dyche's level. I mean, is this really an unpopular opinion? A bit like how Dyche has been tipped for bigger jobs than Burnley. Lads, I don't even think he'd have done well at Everton. It'd have probably gone the same way as Big Sam, hounded out by the fans after 12 bastard weeks. Chelsea fans should not hate Jose Mourinho. I know there's a popular opinion out there that Didier Drogba was overrated because he has less Premier League goals than Darren Bent. Don't worry though, I didn't swap my brain for a toasty, so I'm not going to go there. Instead, I'll talk about Jose Mourinho. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the Chelsea fans showing any semblance of hatred towards this man is wrong. Before this guy arrived at Stamford Bridge in 2004, your club hadn't lifted a league title since 1955. He's won you 3 and an FA Cup and 3 League Cups. Sure, he's gone to both Man United and Tottenham, but lads, what's he supposed to do? Just ignore job offers? Your club has so many rivals. To stay true to his Chelsea loyalties, as some of you seem to expect, he'd have to rule out about 9 different jobs. I mean, you've sacked him twice. What would you do if your own wife handed you divorce papers twice in 10 years? In the process of getting on with your life, are you just then supposed to ignore any woman she might have talked to? It shouldn't matter what job he takes. He could accept a job chucking pies at your great Aunt Bertha's nursing home. You should still treat him as your golden god. Crystal Palace, Gareth Southgate is not that good. Yeah, this one isn't really about Crystal Palace. But hey, Gareth Southgate is seen as a hero at Sellers Park, so it counts. Listen, the hype about Southgate right now is ridiculous. His stock has never been higher. Beloved by his country people, despite his penalty missed 20 years ago, and he's suddenly getting linked with a Manchester United job. It's funny what a decent cup run will do for a man's career. Take a look at his last job in club management. Sacked in the championship with Middlesbrough. That is the caliber of boss he is. Offer Manchester United fans that guy, and they'd probably rather melt off their own face. Apparently he's worked miracles with England. Has he? During the last World Cup, he scraped a last-minute win against Tunisia, beat a bunch of mechanics from Panama, lost to Belgium twice, drew with Colombia, beat Sweden, lost to Croatia. Seems perfectly average to me.
Real Madrid to appoint Gareth Southgate.
Real Madrid hiring Southgate. If that happens, their fans would probably shoot themselves in the face. Everton, Wayne Rooney should not be a legend. Yeah, Everton fans won't like to hear this one, but wise up. You all treat Wayne Rooney as some sort of Everton legend. Why? Remember that once a blue, always a blue t-shirt? Does this look like a true blue? Kissing the badge of another club in front of the fans who once paid his goddamn wages on their home turf. Leicester, Claudio Ranieri was not a great manager. Oh, I almost hate myself for saying this. That Claudio Ranieri, one of the most beloved men in football, was not all that great. Oh, cry, even saying that. The taste of my, it tastes a bit like pigeon sperm. Listen, that Leicester year, it was a crazy year where everything came together. But I'm not going to start comparing Danny Simpson to Cafu. Ranieri played his part, but it's clear to see that team was built by Nigel Pearson. That team spirit existed at the club long before Ranieri. There is a reason why he never won a top flight title in his previous 30 years of management. There's a reason he's been sacked over 10 times. I'm sorry, but if you manage clubs like Chelsea, Valencia, Juventus, Roma, Inter Milan, and have just one bastard Copa del Rey to show for it, it's mental. He's already on to his 4th job since Leicester. He's like the Italian Sven-Göran Eriksson, a likeable journeyman manager who would accept anything with a paycheck. Calling him one of the greatest Premier League managers of all time. No. Liverpool, Kevin Keegan does not get enough respect. Anfield hero Kevin Keegan does not get the respect he deserves. It's true, as a player he was simply world class. Many forget this when they see him in shampoo efforts. He's a European champion, 2-time Ballon d'Or winner, but forget that. As a manager he wasn't bad either. Taking a Newcastle team from the depths of the Championship to 2nd in the Premier League, playing some of the most beautiful and enthralling football along the way, but people don't see him as that now. He never gets mentioned as one of the great Premier League managers. Apparently he's just some bumbling caricature to be laughed at because of a meltdown interview he gave in 1996. This is a guy known as a quitter, a baller who chucked away a 12-point lead, the I would love it man. Christ lads, you swear he was joking here. Please, put some respect on Kevin Keegan's name. Man City, George Egan-Clancy was overrated. George Egan-Clancy, one of the greatest wingers the Premier League has ever seen, right? Or so some City fans would have you believe. But because of a few picturesque dribble goals, repeated on TV for decades afterwards, there's developed a sort of myth that he was so good, he'd probably have made it in the modern City team. Here's the facts. Not only did he fail at Ajax, he was a winger with 11 goals in 102 Premier League games. Offer him to Pep Guardiola now, he'd probably get sick in his mouth. Man United, George Best wouldn't survive in modern football. Look, George Best was one of the greatest footballers of all time. I don't think he would have cut it in modern football. Not because he wasn't skillful, talented, or an immense footballer, but because of his off-the-pitch troubles. For Christ's sake, he was pretty much finished as a top player at 26 years of age. Such was his dependence on alcohol. He was forced to see out his career with Stockport County, Cork Celtic, Los Angeles Aztecs, Fort Lauderdale Strikers, something called Tobermory United. In this modern era of ultra-professional, strictly monitored, almost robotic footballers, the best alcoholism and playboy lifestyle would mean he'd be bombed out of Old Trafford after the first wild night. And so, those collection of bang average clubs, that wouldn't be his twilight. Tragically, those would be the clubs employing him during his peak, which makes me think, how many alcoholic journeymen stuck in the lower leagues with Exeter and Harrogate Town, how many of them would have actually been world superstars in the swinging 60s, an era where players used to smoke at half time? Newcastle, Sir Bobby Robson was not the best England manager of all time. I almost hate myself for saying this. But hey, the video's about unpopular opinions. Listen, I love Sir Bobby Robson, and I'm under no illusions that he was a great manager. One of the greatest of all time, sure. But the tagline that he was the greatest English manager of all time, he wasn't even the greatest manager from Durham. Bob Paisley steered Liverpool to 6 league titles, 3 league cups, 6 Charity Shields, 3 European Cups, 1 UEFA Cup and a Super Cup. Factor in the fact Brian Clough lifted back-to-back Champions Leagues with Nottingham Forest. Sorry Bobby, I know you are a fantastic manager, but I have to put you in 3rd. Norwich, Dean Ashton was overrated. Look, I'm sad that Dean Ashton was forced to retire from injury at the age of 26. It was horrible, but some players get better the less games they play. There seems to be a myth that he was destined for Premier League greatness. The next Alan Shearer. Yes, he was a talented centre forward who banged them in for fun in the Championship. But lads, so was Charlie Austin. So was Grant Holt. And yet, here's what Norwich fans think of him.
He was Teddy Sheringham good and would have gone on to be Alan Shearer good, I reckon. Personally, I was convinced he was the new Alan Shearer. Still the best player I've seen in a Norwich shirt. Would have led England's front line with Rooney.
I mean, these are the same Norwich fans who try to convince themselves that David Bentley was Beckham's heir. Sheffield United, Neil Warnock was not Premier League standard. A Sheffield United great. Neil Warnock was not as good as the fans think. This was a guy who never once kept a team in the Premier League. Look, he's a great Championship manager, but there's a reason every single one of his teams have sank like a stone. Southampton, Matt Le Tissier lacked ambition. Make no mistake about it, Matt Le Tissier could have been world class. This man is the epitome of a guy who didn't push himself professionally. He had talent coming out of his ears. Could rip any Premier League defence to shreds. The likes of Xavi used to idolise him at Barcelona. But he stayed at Southampton throughout his whole life, rejecting big moves away. Although don't get it. It's not like he supported them as a boy. He was a Spurs fan. Sure, he was settled, liked the area, it was home. But to really go and cement yourself as a top player, you need to drag yourself out of the comfort zone. Sign for a big club, win a few trophies. Instead, he finished his career with just 8 England caps, and with his only piece of silverware being the Wessex Football League with Eastleigh FC. Tottenham, Robbie Keane is not a Spurs legend. Listen, Robbie Keane is an Irish legend. It's alright for me to talk him up as a world beater. He scored 68 goals for my country. Well, 67 goals for my country.
Justice for Noel Hunt!
But Tottenham fans, you need to raise your standards. He's a top striker, but being hailed as one of the club's best ever Really? In 9 seasons at White Hart Lane, he never hit 20 league goals in a season once. He only hit 15 in a season twice. He has just 1 League Cup medal to show for his efforts. And don't forget he forced through a move to Liverpool. He's a great Irish player, but I mean, is he a Spurs legend? No more so than Jermaine Defoe. Watford, Troy Deeney is not England standard. No, Watford fans, Troy Deeney is not good enough to play for England. Peak Troy Deeney is about as good as peak Marlon Harewood at West Ham. Think that says it all. West Ham, Carlos Tevez does not love your club. In the eyes of West Ham fans, Carlos Tevez is a god who single-handedly kept them up during the 06-07 season. Shall we just forget the fact he spent the first half of the season struggling to get off the bench? Is there any coincidence a man of his talents only decided to wake up in March, deciding to play well for the last 10 games of the season to put himself back in the shop window?
West Ham are the club who made me. I'll always be their #1 fan.
Really? #1 fan? More than the guys who had season tickets for 30 bastard years? The ones who travelled to Scunthorpe on Tuesday night to watch Marlon Harewood in the rain? How many games have you attended, Tevez? He probably couldn't name you a single current player. If he truly loved your club, why didn't he return in 2016? Ah yeah, because he loves money more. Wolves, Steve Bull not world class. Simply put, Wolves fans think Steve Bull was world class. Yes, he scored over 300 goals for your club. In the lower leagues, he was unbelievable, but not one of those was in the Premier League. A good player, yes, but not world class. Anyway, that's it, lads. What do you think? Let me know. Have I got this all completely wrong? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And as always, I'll talk to you in a while.